I'm just knocking things over in my rage. Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews, and I think to a bonus video? I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this yet. To cut a very, very long story short, essentially, I did a book purge, book unhaul, last year in November, and I wanted to do that again. And then this week, the start of this week on Monday, I thought, I've actually run out of shelf space already, and that was with books pulled off my shelves. And while I could have waited a couple of months and seen what happened, I kind of wanted to get things going. So either I will post this in November, in which case, hello, me from the future, hope the universe hasn't met its inevitable heat death yet, or it will go up as a bonus video, I'm not really sure. I'm going to go through this video in two parts. I think it will be 2 videos. I'm going to go through books that I'm definitely getting rid of, books that I'm not keeping, and then I have what I'm calling my last chance TBR. So today we'll go through this and then subscribe so you can see my last chance TBR, which will be being read over the coming months. I'm going to go through in no particular order, just the order in which they appear in these piles next to me. These are books that I am not hanging on to. Beyond a Dark and Shore, if you watched last year's book Purge, you may be familiar with this. I hung on to this because I couldn't remember reading it, and I reread it, I can't remember when, at some point this year, which was my goal, and it didn't really wow me enough to stay. I think it was fairly obvious that nothing had stuck with me and nothing was going to stick with me again. This is a perfectly fine YA Viking book. It's not, is it Viking? It's Northmen, and she's a Celt, and she has dark powers that everyone judges her for, but they still use her to defend the land. That kind of thing. This is perfectly fine if that is your thing. I didn't love it enough to want to reread it, and that is my criteria for keeping things on my shelf. Then I have The Girl in Red by Christina Henry. I feel bad about this because this was gifted to me. If you have given me a book and it is in this unhaul pile, I'm sorry, I'm so limited with space. I just can't keep every book that I ever get. It was loved. This is like the full Marie Kondo, you have served your purpose, be gone. This is a Red Riding Hood retelling in the apocalypse. I talked about this in my reading vlogs right at the beginning of this quarantine time, so you can go back all the way to vlog probably number 4. I think this one is difficult. In some ways I didn't enjoy it because it was a book about a pandemic during a pandemic, and that's never really going to be a fun time, but also it feels like half a book. It ends so abruptly. There's really interesting backstory, but they never go into it, and there's no sequel as far as I'm aware, so I'm gonna thank this, but I don't want to reread it. This was a good big unhaul. I don't know if this will be a surprise. I'm unhauling all of the Reckoners series by Brandon Sanderson. I debated hanging on to Steelheart, which is the first one, but I think that feels really silly to hold on to one book out of a 3-book series. I'm not going to want to reread just that one book, and when I do reread it, I'll probably be reminded how much I didn't like the other 2. So, this series I'm saying goodbye to. This is superheroes, with the most interesting aspect of these books being the cities that are taken over by supervillains, and they are the coolest aspect, and they are such a small aspect of it, and the main character is such an annoying young man who just constantly talks about how hot other people are and how awkward he is, and he just wants to talk about guns. It feels very much like a Robert Muchamore main character, and I'm not here for it. And I don't want to hang on to them. I'm just knocking things over in my rage. I have 2 Terry Pratchett books that I am unhauling. I'm getting rid of Jingo, which I didn't enjoy. I didn't like the plot super much. I didn't find it super interesting. And on top of that, it was kind of dated. Watch my vlogs to find out more about that one. And also Strata, which is not a Discworld novel. This is one of his sci-fi ones. I just didn't enjoy this. And I bought it on a whim from a secondhand shop. I wasn't a big fan. I am hanging on to my other Pratchetts that I love, but really what this year has taught me is that there are specific things I need from a Terry Pratchett book, and I don't need to read all of them, which is nice. I've been freed from a desire to read every single Discworld book. I'm getting rid of this copy of Aurora Rising, which I think was also originally from Justine, and she unhauled it. I debated hanging on to this because I do actually want to keep reading the series, but not enough to want to buy them all. I certainly don't want to buy the second one, so it's taking up space on a shelf. Basically, if I ever wanted to recommend someone a book that this would fit into the category of, I would have other books I would recommend first. And on top of that, I'm not in a huge rush to reread this anytime soon. Welcome to Night Vale was a book that I have read, and I don't know enough about the podcast to want to hang on to it. I have read it. It was perfectly fine. It's not quite my jam. Too surreal even for me. I am going to get rid of Neil Gaiman's Anansi Boys. While I did enjoy this a lot more than I enjoyed American Gods, which has already been sent to the book bank, I still don't think I'm super keen to reread this, to do anything with it again. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I'm glad that I have read it, but it's not not for me. I will check that Katie is okay with me getting rid of that because it's technically hers. The Stars We Seal by Alexa Dunn. This almost made it onto my last chance TBR because it's quite good comfort reading and I did really enjoy it. But in a world where there is finite shelf space and where there are a finite number of books I can read in a lifetime, I'm going to say goodbye to this. This is a Persuasion retelling. It is Persuasion in space. Oh no, now part of me's thinking I need to go read Persuasion and then reread this. No, I don't. I don't need to do that. I also have Battle Royale by Cushion Takami. I was a bit wary of letting this go because I know I don't have a huge amount of translated fiction on my shelves, but that being said, I'm not super keen to reread this. I did have a really good time reading it the first time. I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I was going to. This is Japanese dystopian Lord of the Flies meets Hunger Games kind of vibe, and it's very, very good. I just don't want to reread it. It was a bit too violent for me. Let's do the two Lee Bardugo that I'm getting rid of. I'm getting rid of King of Scars. I'm hanging on to Crooked Kingdom and Six of Crows, but I think this is very beautiful, but I reread it and I didn't enjoy it. Or I didn't love it, wasn't obsessed, and I think it deserves to go to the home of someone who desperately wants it. So I will probably, for that one and probably for Wonder Woman Warbringer, I always say Warbreaker, I will probably put those up for trade, so do keep an eye on my Twitter. Same with Wonder Woman Warbringer. I enjoyed it the first time I read it, I reread it and I wasn't as keen, and now I don't want to read it again and it can go to a better home. I have two more on this definitely unhauling pile. I have The Last Mile in Sunder City by Luke Arnold. Perfectly enjoyable book, really, really liked it. Fantasy PI, but basically I don't want to carry on with the series because it just didn't grab me as much as other series have done, and I think it's time to say goodbye. I have a feeling this is an arc. Yes, this is an uncorrected bound proof for your review, so this will either go up for trade or it will get recycled. And then I'm going to get rid of my Fairyloot copy of The Beholder by Anna Bright. I was hanging on to this thinking I might reread it, but to be honest, I don't think I'm going to. I haven't heard anyone talk about the next one. I don't know if that's out yet, but I'm pretty sure it is. And nobody's mentioned it, so I don't think it suddenly turns into something amazing. That is going to go to a better home as well. 15. I'm getting rid of 16 books, which is really good and has freed up some good shelf space that we need. I don't know what's going to happen if and when we move and I can have a third bookshelf. I'm going to have to keep things for longer, but then I'll feel the pressure to reread them. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But yes, maybe I will actually take these to the book bank. I'm going to get on and film part 2 of this video, my last chance TBR. But thank you so much for watching. Comment below if any of these deserve to stay on my TBR or go back on my TBR. I have read them all, I promise. While you're down there, you can also follow me on all of my social media. That is all linked below. You can also subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. There's gonna be some bloopers now. Same with Wonder Woman Warbringer. I can't say it.